What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Skins in the Game. We got JW here, of course. What's up, J-Dubs?
Another week in the books.
Another week in the books.
Living the dream.
Yeah, we got some good topics today, even though it's the off season. But the combine just started, so we got some press conferences from Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew. We'll discuss what was discussed in those. Apparently, we have a list of 42 quarterbacks somehow, some way that we were looking into this offseason. A list.
Yeah,
of
you
42.
have to fill me in on that one because I did not hear that.
Yeah, and then we're apparently the leader in the Deshaun Watson thing. So we got some more quarterback talk with Russell Wilson and Rodgers. And then we're just going to give our top 3 free agents that we want in this offseason. But as we do every show, we're going to start with the dad joke of the week.
All right, the pickings were slim, just so you know.
Stop, what do you call it? Qualifying it. Just say it.
How was Rome split in two?
How was Rome split into two? Roe and me? What?
No. With a pair of Caesars.
With a pair of Caesars.
Come on, man.
But,
I want the chat to blow up on that one.
I want terrible. The chat to blow up on that one with 2 Caesars. Okay, I got you. I don't get it. No, I'm just kidding. I do. All right. What do you got?
You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I don't care. I'll go first. So I went to the gym for the first time in forever. I don't know, last summer, and then I only went like 2 or 3 times back then. So I've gone to the gym probably 4 times in the last 4 years, which is why I've blown up like a balloon. But my buddy was like, "Hey, you should come with us. We're gonna max out our bench today." And I was like, "All right, yeah, I probably can't even do 200." And I sat out on the bench. When I used to work out 6 days a week in football, the most I ever done on the Smith machine was 275 pounds. The first time I sit down on this thing, I somehow was able to do 290 pounds. And I guess that's what happens when you get big and fat. Because I have done nothing to deserve to be able to bench 290 pounds. Like, I really don't know where that comes from, other than I'm literally almost 300 pounds now myself, so I can bench my body weight. But I thought that was...
I think somebody stuck on the styrofoam weights.
You know what? I think both my friends were lifting it up from the sides.
Right. Did you ever see the I don't know if you ever watched The King of Queens, but they were trying to train him to play football again, like semi-pro football, and they were like, he's lifting, and they're like, "Man, you're lifting this many," and then they show the guy moving the weights around, and he's like tossing them. And Doug sees it, and he goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "I wanted to build your confidence."
I wanted to build your confidence. Yeah, it also reminds me of SpongeBob when he's lifting the marshmallows. Larry Wheels the lobster is lifting like tons of weight, and he's got the marshmallows with the little bunnies on the side. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I hit 225. You should throw 290 like nothing. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what happens when you get big and chunky because...
Well, I'm getting old. I haven't tried to lift 200 pounds in forever, so.
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? I was not expecting that. It was funny. My buddy, who is much smaller than me, he's like 160 pounds soaking wet, was like, "Oh, I got hustled today." I'm like, dude, I'm way more shocked than you are. And of course, 2 days later, I woke up and my chest is like sore as I don't know what, like hard to lift your arms. But it was still fun. All right. Anyway, what do you got?
All right, so I got 3 different things. I'll go through them quickly. A couple of them are relatively meaningless trivia, but this one is kind of a question to you that since the merger, there is only one NFL quarterback that has started 50 or more games that has never had a pick six. You care to take a guess?
I feel like I heard this thing. Was it Mitch Trubisky?
You nailed it.
Yeah, okay. I think somebody said that is a hilarious stat, and I think they were like saying like, "Oh, he's never thrown a pick six." Like, okay, but he's thrown plenty of picks.
Yeah,
in those
they stopped at the 1. All right,
yeah,
so that's my
I'm so glad
meaningless
that,
trivia.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said you had 2.
No, I that was one. I should have said one of my meaningless trivia. Well, there's 2 meaningless trivia. Then I think something of a more serious discussion. But So we all know Jerry Rice is the touchdown leader.
Yeah.
With 197. Well, I read a stat that I thought was interesting, meaningless but interesting, that if you took away all his receptions prior to his 30th year or 30-year old season, he'd still be in the top 10. In fact, after he turned 30, he has more touchdowns than prior. So, from his age 30 on, he had 104 touchdowns. He would be number 9 all time, including him as number 1 with 197. So I thought that was interesting, meaningless, but interesting.
What a stud.
And then the last thing I wanted to bring up real quick, just as for all of us Redskin fans, that I read something that about Gary Clark not being in the Hall of Fame, and I thought it was interesting that Drew Pearson, Cowboy, wears the star, gets a lot of special consideration, and they compared the stats. Gary Clark played for 10 years. He was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro, and 4-time Pro Bowl. He played in 167 games and had 699 receptions for 10,800 plus yards and 65 TDs. He is not in the Hall of Fame. Drew Pearson has 1 Super Bowl. He has 3 All-Pro, which matches that, 3 Pro Bowl, 1 less. Played in 11 less games at 156, had receptions of 489, so over 200 less receptions, over 3,000 less receiving yards is 78-22, and less TDs at 48-65. But Drew Pearson is in the Hall of Fame. Gary Clark can't sniff the Hall of Fame. So take of that as what you will. But yeah, that was my what do you got? It was way a lot of what I got. But
you know who also I don't think should be in the Hall of Fame? This is a hot take. I don't think Troy Aikman should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's one of the worst. Like, if you go look at his stats, he's got to be one of the worst, like, statistical quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. It is pathetic. I know he has 3 Super Bowls in the 90s, like, with the whole great 90s team of the Cowboys, but this guy statistically, like, if he wasn't on a great team, this guy would be a nobody. Like, nobody would ever know his name if he didn't win the 3 Super Bowls, because his stat, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was pretty embarrassing, in my opinion.
I actually recall looking at that. I think you're right. I don't recall the numbers either, but it was kind of like, wow, really?
Yep. All right, before we get into the press conference, let's just say hey to everybody. What up, Maddie in the house? Fight for old DC. Apparently, we want Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder, according to him. DRG in the house. Patrick West. What up, Pat? Jacob's here. What's up? Reggie Reg. Roger Smith is on time this week. Look at that. When we have a consistent time of 7 o'clock, people know when to get here, and they're on time. What do you know? We already got 15 people in the chat. What's up, everybody? Thanks for being here. But, all right, so let's go ahead and hop into the next topic. Ron Rivera's press conference. So the NFL Combine just started yesterday, Tuesday, March 1st. And Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew both had press conferences in that time. And we're going to discuss a little bit of what they had to say. And
yes, please enlighten me, because I did not see this.
Excuse me. Yes. So, first of all, of course, there was a lot of quarterback talk. That's the number one thing. But we're not going to talk about that quite yet. We're going to talk more quarterbacks later. But there was some interesting stuff in these press conferences, I should say. First off, we hired Juan Castillo to the tight ends coach, Pete Hainer. That wasn't reported in this press conference, but he talked about in this press conference that he says that they're a lot alike. Pete Hainer, of course, coaching Vernon Davis, Greg Olson. He had a great teaching of Logan Thomas this last year, so he had a great long career. He just retired, so we got this guy, Juan Castillo from Buffalo, which Sean McDermott's the head coach over there, and makes sense because Sean McDermott was the defensive coordinator for Carolina when they went to the Super Bowl, so there's a lot of connections there. So, but he says they're a lot alike. So I'm interested to see if we can continue to get good production out of these young tight ends.
So you're saying Ron Rivera hired somebody that was associated with the Carolina Panthers? I'm shocked. Wait, everybody, let's give everybody in the chat a chance to, regroup. I'm sure they're all like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But no, go ahead. Sorry.
That is hilarious. Any thoughts about Watson? We're definitely going to talk about that later in the thing. But anyway, keep it on this. This is an interesting. Like, I've heard this before, and I was curious. I'm not necessarily. I wanted to discuss this because I don't know if I buy into this. Ron Rivera stressed the importance of looking at the teams in your division when you're considering building your team, right? And technically, yeah, those are your 6 different games that you have to play. But he's like, if you have a bunch of big receivers in your division, then you should go get a bunch of big corners on your team. Or if you have fast receivers, then you should get fast, quick corners in your division. And then it's more conference, and then it's the rest of the league. But I don't know if I like that mentality of I'm drafting based on what my opponents are doing. I feel like we should be doing what we want to build, what defense we want to build, or what offense we want to build. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that that's a good way of thinking about it, or do you think that that's kind of hogwash?
Well, I see the logic. Well, I see his thinking. I shouldn't even say it's logic. But okay, so that's 6 games out of now 17 games. You're going to gear your team to be able to win your division, and I know then you get into the playoffs. But if you're expecting to go anywhere, then I think you need to look beyond that. But I understand the concept of, hey, if you win your division, you're in. Mm-hmm. So as long as you can outplay them. But hey, if they lose against you in the division and then they win every other game, you're still not winning the division. So it's an interesting. Yeah. Ron Rivera has a lot of very unique let's just say unique ways of looking at things. Mm-hmm. But I found that interesting. I didn't hear that, so thanks for sharing.
Yeah, well, I know that like it's not common, but the Raiders went 6-0 in their division, and yet did not win the division because those were the only 6 games they won all year. I believe they went 6-10 that season.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's like, okay.
Yeah, so. I thought that was an interesting thing. But, so I just don't know if I buy into that. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I feel as though you should be going for the best players possible for what you want to do in your system and not care so much exactly what other teams are doing specifically in your division, where, yes, you want to beat those teams, but like I'm drafting a specific guy to cover a specific player in my division when I have now 11 other games that I'm going to be playing. And if I'm drafting just a guy just to stop, I don't know, Kenny Galladay's a big body dude. So I'm just trying to stop Kenny Galladay, but now I can't stop CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, or Devontae Smith for the Eagles. Like, I don't know. I thought that's kind of a weird way to look at it.
I agree, because I think my opinion, and I'm not an expert, I'm a Sunday couch sitter, but that good is good. And if you build a good team, you're going to be able to play with it, right? I mean, if you have like Kansas City, do you think they built their offense based on their division? No, they built their offense based on, I don't care who you are, we're going to beat you. And I know last year they fell short, but you get my point. Like the Patriots, good teams are like, no, we're built to be good, and you bring it. Buffalo is the same way. Did Buffalo concern themselves with their division, or just the fact that we think our team can beat anybody? You know, right. Seattle in the heyday with the Legion of Doom, and that we're just good and we're going to beat you. We don't care who you got, what you got, we're going to beat you. And I think that's what you have to think. Make your team good.
Right. Just draft the best player available. Don't care about so much about what your division's doing. I don't know. It's an interesting way to think. Roger agrees with Mr. Ron Rivera. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Another thing that he admitted in this, and we already knew, but he definitely, I don't know if I've heard him say it specifically before, but he said that we started Jamin Davis, the first-round pick last year, as a middle linebacker, and he did not perform well, and so they started putting him as a rotational outside guy, and he thought that the athleticism showed a whole lot more, but that definitely leaves a big gaping hole of who in the world is going to be our middle linebacker going into 2022, and we may be looking at that pick number 11. There's a couple of interesting linebackers coming out, Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd, that could be right around that pick number 11 spot. So if we don't go quarterback, I think MLB has got to be high on the list, because I don't think Cole Holcomb is really a middle linebacker, and then David Mayo is a backup. We just signed him. And then with Jamin Davis, and I don't even know who else we have on our roster that's a linebacker right now. Like, our linebacker room is extremely small. I wouldn't be surprised if we drafted 2 linebackers, to be honest. Probably won't, because we only have 6 picks this year since we traded our 5th. But I still wouldn't be shocked if we really try to hit home on that linebacker spot. All right, on to Martin Mayhew's press conference. This is interesting. They're expected to talk to Terry McLaurin's agent while in Indianapolis. Apparently that's where Indianapolis is where Terry McLaurin's agent is based out of. So do you think there's any hope that gets done this offseason, since they're going to talk to him this offseason? Technically, he has 1 more year on his deal, so we could wait 1 more year with the franchise tag if we franchise tag him next offseason. But I personally would like to get it done this year. But what do you think?
No, and I don't, whether or not they can get it done, I hope they can. But I heard a number thrown out, like 4 years, 75 million. Does that sound about right? I think that's what it said. That's kind of what
they said, but I don't think he's going to accept that. I think it's going to be more, honestly, well, 4 years, 75 million. What does that put? It's under 20. I think it's going to be north of 20 a year is what Terry McLaurin's going to demand.
That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I'm not arguing with you, but it's like 4 years, 75 with like 30. I think they said like 35 or 40 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I think in this day and age, a lot of players look at that as a slight. Like, yeah. How dare you? And it's like, I'm pretty much guaranteeing to change your life so you can live comfortably for the rest of your life. But somehow it's like, no, I'm going to keep looking. I think, and I've always thought this with free agents, that just like Kirk Cousins, mm-hmm. you either want to play here or you don't. And if Terry McLaurin doesn't feel like, everybody wants to make it to the big game, and if he feels like the Redskins aren't going to do that, then they could offer him 4 years, $100 million. He's not going to. He's going to want to go. He wants to be in the limelight. Mm-hmm. So I think that plays part of it. But I hope they'll sit down and talk and come up with a number. And unfortunately, the team that's holding the good player is always at a disadvantage, because they kind of have the first conversation, and it doesn't matter what that conversation is. The response is, I'd like to see what let me play the field a little bit. Let me see what else is being offered. So mm-hmm. I'd love to see it get done, but
yeah, I mean, I would be stunned if it's under 20 million and through the roof, because he's worth all of that and more, in my opinion. I know that when I talked to Jarris, he wants to pay him like $25 million, which is the highest paid wide receiver right now in the league. DeAndre Hopkins makes $25 million a year. I don't know if I want to pay that much. I probably still would, because I love him that much. But if we could get it even closer to the 20, the 21, 22, I'm still very, very pleased with that, because I think he's that talented at wide receiver, and he's that great of a locker room dude that you would want to be a face of your franchise. So
no, I get that, and I also get Roger's comment in the chat mm-hmm. that you can't pay him $20 million a year. I think, like I said, I'm out of touch with reality, but 4 years, $75 million, I think that's a legitimate offer. Like, mm-hmm. we drafted you, you play for us, we'll pay you upwards of $20 million a year, $18 million a year. Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge contract for him, because right now, I think this year he's only going to be paid $3 million, but up in like the last couple of years, he's only been getting paid like just over $1 million, which I know for me and you, that's a lot of money, but for NFL standards and what he's produced back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and we're not even paying him $2 million a season. That's huge.
That's a rookie thing, right?
Exactly. He was only a third-round pick, so he doesn't have a huge contract as a third rounder. The first
So
round
is this,
picks can
just
get
to be
decent,
clear,
but
is
yeah.
his rookie contract is up next year? So the Redskins are going to try to get in early and give him a deal for
Yeah,
the.
the last year of his rookie contract is going into this season. This will be his fourth season, and he's a
Okay.
third round pick, so you can't do the fifth year option. So it's going to be a you have to get it done either this season or next season, or you're going to franchise tag him, which the franchise tag is going to be massive. It's going to be like 22 million, 23 million a year.
Yeah, but he's got to think of, in all fairness, Terry's got to think about from a health perspective. If the Redskins are willing to make him this offer before his rookie contract is up, what if he blows out a knee next year or something bad happens and then he's screwed? Then he doesn't get that free agency money, and 30 or 40 million dollars guaranteed is pretty good for him. So it is not all one way. I get the, hey, I want to go for the gold, but you are playing in a sport where something bad can happen and then you're not playing anymore and no other team wants you. So,
Just
right?
overpay Terry. We overpay crappy players all the time. Why not overpay a good one?
Well, that's a good point too.
Yeah, right now the franchise tag projected going into this year, I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, but this is what I have, is $18.4 million, which is great for us. And if that's the case, then I think we need to like hammer home a deal right now at around this price. Because that is the negotiation price. Is usually
Right.
for a top guy, you negotiate around the franchise tag. Unless if he's like one of the top that's going to demand way over that. But Terry is a great player, and I know some people think he's like in Washington think that he's top 5 or one of the best. Around the league, he's not considered that high. He's considered really good, maybe just fringe top 10. Top 15, but he's not considered top 5 in the league yet. But he does have potential to get there. He's got great route running. He's got tremendous speed. He's got awesome hands. He's awesome in so many ways. So if we can somehow get him at this kind of a deal and we extend him, because also think about it this way, if we extended him right now 4 years, 75 million, like you said, or even let's say 4 years, 85 million. So it's just over 21 million a year. That's higher than what you're saying, but let's just say we did.
Yeah.
We can consider that a 5-year, $88 million contract, because under this year he's only a $3 million cap hit. So you can kind of look at it as now we're only paying him $17 million a year, whatever that comes in.
No, that makes good sense. But I was going to ask a question. It's my opinion, and this is anecdotal. I have no evidence to back this up, but I kind of feel like the franchise tag is a death knell to any player on a team. Like they're just
death knell. What do you mean by death
knell? That basically the guy's going to leave, and you just extended it a year. So if they don't come to terms with Terry, and then next year they franchise tag him, Kirk Cousins. I keep going back to him, and maybe the evidence. I haven't looked at this, but I just feel like once a team franchise tags somebody, then as soon as they're free to go, they go, and somebody pays them a lot of money to go.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know
the exact numbers either, but I would imagine you're correct. But a lot of times, the franchise tag is a way to keep them in the building, and then you negotiate off that, and then you get it done later that same offseason. But I would imagine you're correct. If they actually play that year on the franchise tag, the likelihood of them coming back the following year has got to be quite low.
Right.
Then
they're looking for the second franchise tag, because then that's even more.
Yeah.
I think it's like, you're going to pay me that much? Hey,
I think it's like the average of like the top 10 receivers. All right, well, top 10 of your position is what you get paid on the first one or something like that. And then it goes up like 15% or something like that after that. Or 20%. I think it was up 20% after that. Because I think Kirk Cousins went from just under 20 million to 24 million. So that would be a 20% increase.
Yeah, it jumped dramatically. So
Yeah.
you might be right. 20 sounds about right.
So it's huge if you do the second one for sure. And we did that with Kirk, obviously, paying him $44 million in 2 seasons. So
yeah, and how bad we treated him.
Yeah,
he didn't want to play her.
Somebody posted like Minnesota has a Kirk Cousins problem, and then I was like, oh, I thought we should have kept him. I don't know how that person felt, but yeah, I thought we should have kept that guy. I thought he was great. But anyway, what else do we have from the Martin Mayhew press conference? So I thought this was interesting that he wants to get Cam Sims back, but he also said that, and maybe he's a part of the Cam Sims is a part of this, and this is probably why we haven't heard a lot of other contracts, that he has shown interest in some like homegrown free agents, right? Like the free agents that have left this, that are projected to leave this team or projected to be free agents this year that were on the team last year, however you want to say it. But they haven't offered them an extension yet. Right? So they're not ready to offer a contract, but we do want you here, but go ahead and test out the free agency market, but let us know first and see if we can match it, I guess, is basically what the sentiment is from this. And so I'm curious, and you're not going to know the answer to this, but it's just a thought of like,
wait, hold on.
Yeah. Is like J.D. McKissick on that list? Is Cam Sims on that list? Is Joey Sly the kicker on that list? Like, we extended Charles Leno like right after the season, but then we haven't had any other news from any of these other guys. I'm curious if that these guys are guys that we want back, but we're not ready to extend a contract to. And as I said, you're not going to know the answer, but it was definitely a interesting thought.
No, and I see football fans comment that, and I'm trying to search back in my mind what has Cam Sims done, and maybe you can answer this, where you think, man, we really need him.
The one-handed catch against the Steelers or the 100-yard game against Tampa. But those are my only 2 arguments. I don't really want Cam.
No, those are valid arguments.
And then
but yeah.
the other argument, the obvious, the elephant in the room, if you could say, because what Cam Sims is known for is a 6'5" frame. So we don't have really another wide receiver. Well,
that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, which with that kind of a frame, I mean, he did also moss Trayvon Diggs, the Dallas Cowboys corner, with all those interceptions last year. He caught a touchdown over him in the end zone. That was fun. But is John Bostic okay? No, John Bostic's garbage. But anyway, so
I think he knew the answer to that question already.
Yeah, silly pig. JD's a game changer. I agree. Oh yeah, to answer your question earlier, I saw this and I forgot to respond to it. Julio makes $22 million a year at 32 years old. Do you think that that's overpaid? I say 1,000% he's overpaid, and really there's no argument against it because he had a terrible season for Tennessee. He's an injury-prone guy at 32 years old. He doesn't play every single game. He was the best receiver for a long time in the league, but that's just not the case anymore. He still has a lot of talent, and I would love to have him on our team. Like, if Julio Jones became a free agent and we can somehow get him on like a $10 million contract or something like that, like a old veteran contract that we can get on the team, I think he could add a lot to your team potentially, but I think $22 million is overpaid.
You know, I want to throw a question out there to everybody in this group. I assume most people here work. If you didn't need money, how would your attitude to your job change? You see what I'm saying? It's like you get paid a big, huge contract, and suddenly showing up for, spring training. Sorry, that's a baseball term, which I'm not a baseball fan, but training
OTAs,
camp,
OTAs.
You're out there sweating your butt off. You're working off. It's like there's not a lot of athletes. The great athletes are the ones who do it, but there's not a lot of athletes out there that do it for anything more than, hey, I'm talented and I'm going to get paid well. Yeah. But as soon as you make enough money to where your job doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
then something tells me that your efforts just like, I'm not saying you'll completely mail it in, but somehow it's kind of like, I have a good year, I have a bad year, I don't really care. If you follow my train of thought, but
Yeah, 100%. And like obviously football. I mean, I guess football is really not that different, but in ways it is different because of like it's a sport that you've loved since 5 years old. Like, how many people have a job that they've loved since they were in elementary school, right? And I'm sure there's other professions out there. Like maybe some kids wanted to become a doctor ever since they saw a doctor on TV or something like that. Now they loved to be a doctor. But I'm sure a lot of people wanted to become a doctor and realize what it means to be a doctor. And they're like, wait a minute, I don't like to be a doctor anymore because it's mostly just paperwork. But
well, and if you're doing, and you're right, if
yeah.
the athlete out there is doing what they love,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to keep doing it because they love it.
Right.
But I don't know what percentage of the people out there, and I see Madison Roach said that their attitude won't change.
Yeah.
I'm curious, not specifically what you do, but I assume what you do for a living you really, really love.
Yeah, well,
that you just like it. So, but anyway, I'm not digging that deep. I just thought, like I said, a lot of these guys, they get a big contract, and then the next year they're kind of like, Wait, what are you laughing at that I missed?
No, nothing. Cough, cough, Albert Hainsworth. That's what I was laughing at. I'm a professional gambler and have done for years. Discipline is the key. Well, there you go. Professional gambler. Good for you.
Yeah, I'd love to be that.
Trade a haul of picks for a top-tier QB or sign a bridge and draft a guy? We're going to discuss that later, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's a great question. You don't get remembered for how much you get paid unless you said steal $100 million. Yeah.
Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, skin them alive, professional gamer. Maddie says she does love what she does. So good for you, which is awesome. Good for you. All right. So that's what I got from the press conferences. That was not about the quarterbacks, but let's hop into these quarterback discussions. So there's some other news going around, but this one is funny that we apparently, I believe it was either John Keim or JP Finley, one of the reporters for the team, apparently said that Washington started with a list of 42 quarterbacks
that
they were going to evaluate.
Entertain me with this.
And apparently, they reached out to every single team to request or to inquire about the availability of their quarterback and what it would cost. And one of the things I saw on there was, if you Google it, Washington Commanders inquired about Pat Mahomes. Like, if we really did reach out to every single team, that means we reached out to, hey, Chargers, are you willing to trade Justin Herbert? Hey, Buffalo, you what's your price for Josh Allen? I mean, good for them, I guess. You're doing your due diligence. What's the worst they could say? No, they're not on the table. But
are they talking about the first string, or are they talking about other quarterbacks that are like the quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes, barring a serious injury, doesn't have a big chance of starting? So maybe they talk to all the teams, but with the guys that might be pretty good that are behind them. I don't know. That would be the only way it makes sense to me.
I feel like 42
Would they go about down to the subway and say, hey, do you play quarterback?
42 quarterbacks. I mean, that's you've got to include in that list some guys that most people would decide that are untradeable. I feel like there's no way that you have a legit list of 42 quarterbacks in the league that...
I mean, is that trying to tell the fan base that we did our due diligence, that we dug deep? I think somehow I feel like that's just a BS number that, oh yeah, we talked to 42 quarterbacks. It's like, what'd you go to the local high school?
Well, they didn't talk to them, but they had a list of 42
Sorry, I mean, you know what I meant. Is like,
yeah.
I should say considered, not talked to.
And I'm assuming that does not mean rookies. Like, I'm my understanding of the quote from these guys are it's 42 quarterbacks that they're considering in the league. Like franchise quarterbacks, they call it, quote unquote, franchise quarterback. But yeah, like they reached out to everybody, and I think that that's a pretty funny idea of we've reached out for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Skin him
But
alive
that's
says,
a,
why not? Yeah.
I've wondered about the whole term of franchise quarterback. What defines a franchise quarterback? Are you in the playoffs regularly? Do you go to the championship game or the Super Bowl? And I understand what we all think about it, but if of what a franchise quarterback means is like, oh, if we have a franchise quarterback, we're going to go places.
It's totally a nebulous term of like, because a franchise quarterback means something different to everybody,
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of what I was getting at. It's
yeah,
like it's not defined.
yeah. It's not. Uh, so everybody's gonna have a different definition of what your franchise quarterback is. Like some people would say, it's a franchise quarterback's a guy that you can put the team on its back, right? So you outperform what your team is around you. Some people would say a franchise quarterback's a guy that can lead your good team and lead you to the Super Bowl, even though he's not considered one of the top, right? Like Matt Ryan went to the Super Bowl. He also has an MVP, but he had some great weapons around him. Is he considered a franchise quarterback? I'd say yeah. Most people would say yes, but I don't think he's a guy that can put his team on his back. And if you don't have a good roster around him, he's going to all of a sudden find a way to win 9-10 games. Go ahead.
Yeah, what was the quarterback for the Ravens that went to the Super Bowl and won?
Joe
Didn't
Flacco.
throw it to. No. It was
Trent Dilfer.
Dilfer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That is he a franchise quarterback? They didn't score a touchdown for 5 games. But he won the Super Bowl, so what? Yeah, you're right. It's immeasurable, or it's subjective. I shouldn't say, say it's not immeasurable, but it's like what a franchise quarterback means to you might not be the same thing it means to me.
Ron is on the phone right now with Brady. Why stop at Brady? Did you call Brett Favre yet? Like, did you call Big Ben? Is Big Ben on your list? Big Ben Roethlisberger?
By the way, I was looking at a list of free agents, and Ben Roethlisberger is listed on the free agents list.
Yeah.
About the top 100 or 150. It's like, really? I thought he retired.
He did retire, but I think he was going to become a free agent anyway.
And by the way, I think Joe Flacco's name was on there too. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's still in the league. He was on the Jets last year.
The eyebrow man.
The eyebrow man. Stafford was considered a franchise quarterback while he was in Detroit, and he has no playoffs wins with them. Yeah, see, like some people would say he's a franchise quarterback, and honestly, under my definition, I think I would agree with that. Like my definition would just be, you're one of the, you're. I don't know exactly how to describe this in without layman terms. Basically, you're a really good quarterback. Like
basically, you're not a lie. Right.
Yeah.
Like you're a quarterback that's not a lie. Like if your team is capable of going places, you're capable of going with them and leading them there, as opposed to being overwhelmed like Sanchez.
Yeah, like they don't win despite you. Like Jimmy G, who won 2 playoff games, throwing no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Right? Like you won despite. Bad? Yeah, you won despite your quarterback. You didn't win because of your quarterback, right? Or you don't win, or Trent Dilfer is another great example. Like, they won in spite of him. Or Rex Grossman, when he was on the Bears. Like, Rex Grossman went to the Super Bowl with the Bears team, but they went there despite who their quarterback was. Thomas Jones was a great running back that year. Devin Hester broke the record with return touchdowns, and then that defense was reminiscent of the 85 Bears, where they literally beat Arizona 24-23 without scoring a touchdown on offense. Like, it was horrible. But yet they found a way to win games because the rest of their team was so good. So I don't know.
Yeah, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, and I think Dan Marino's a pretty good quarterback. Just my opinion.
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah,
he was okay. Redskins Man 10 posted your favorite jersey in the Discord here. Here you go, and he's got a Taylor, so he's got both of our jerseys. This is the guy that has 85 jerseys or something like that. Like he's got a ton. Here's all of them. Or I don't know if this is even all of them, but a ton of burgundy and gold jerseys. So good for him. Oh, he's got a black one too. Is that a Taylor as well? It looks like a 20.
It looks like a 20.
Yeah, it might be a 21. So he is
just curious. Just curious, are you married?
Are you married? Yeah, I don't know how old he is.
I'm just
84
asking
now.
because
There you go, 84. Found out Jimmy G was hurt this playoffs. Well, now the excuses are coming out, I guess, huh? Time to dust off the RG3. Was RG3 on the list? Did RG3 make the top 42?
what did RG3 come out earlier this week talking about? Was it the Ukraine war or something? It was like, oh my God, the
I
guy
don't
needs
know.
to just crawl back in the hole. No, it was something totally unrelated.
Redskins man,
That
23 and single. Yeah.
okay, hey, 23
Good
and
for you.
happy. I'm
23
kidding.
and happy.
Just kidding. My wife
Yeah.
might be listening.
I
to
do
this.
not condone this behavior, Selena. It's like No,
Who was that?
Yeah,
But
I
no,
do not condone
RG3.
this.
I'm trying to think. It was totally unrelated to sports. He came out and was like talking about. I want to say it was the Ukraine Russia thing, but it's like, dude,
He was married until the
just
Jersey thing.
yeah. That's a good one right there.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That Ukraine thing is definitely wild. That stuff just sucks. I think we touched on it last time, but my initial reaction, to that was I never had this reaction either. Like when I first heard about them bombing, I was like, Moscow needs to be nuked tomorrow. Like it seems like it's just ridiculous of this whole nonsense. Like I don't know, but I don't even know what to believe as far as what exactly is going on.
See, and that's a sad part. That's a sad part of the world we live in, that you don't know exactly what, you get information from a lot of different ways, and one person's saying this and then the other extreme, and you're thinking, I really don't know what to believe. Because there's some people saying that Ukraine is and I don't want to get into politics, but that Ukraine is the heart of corruption, that so many people around the world are making tons of money, and that Putin had enough of it and said, I'm not dealing with it anymore. Not saying I believe it, but again, that is one extreme. And the other one is Putin wants to rebuild USSR, and he's just running over the easy countries.
Yeah.
So you got two totally disparate opinions. Disparate. Yeah, I said it with a different accent. But anyway, enough of this politics thing.
Yeah, for real. This is a great question right here. Tim, serious question. What do you think about Carson Wentz? I think he's a really good quarterback. We touched on this last week with
his stats are pretty good.
Honestly, he might be best case scenario for Washington. If we're being honest, he really might be a best case scenario, because I went through his contract last week, and I don't think it'd be a whole heck of a lot to get him. Now, it's possible that all these rumors are just complete garbage and the Colts aren't looking to get rid of him at all. And in that case, then it is what it is. But if the rumors are true that the Colts are actually considering cutting Carson Wentz, I would want to trade for him immediately for the contract that he has. He's a $28 million cap hit this year, a $27 million next year, and a $26 million the year after that. But the big thing about his contract is he only has $15 million left guaranteed, and next season you can cut him and save the entire contract. Now, I would trade a third-round pick, maybe a second, for a guy like Wentz. And I think that could be a best-case scenario, because you're not giving up a ton of capital, but you have a guy that's only 29 years old, I believe. So he is a guy that could be your quarterback for 10 years. Maybe at least 7 more years, probably. 7 solid more years. So you could have a franchise quarterback under the 13.5% mark for percentage of cap, right? That's my big thing about a quarterback, is I want a quarterback that's under 13.5%. Why? No team has ever won a Super Bowl with a quarterback that's more than 13.5%. So that's why I want to get a guy. And also, you look at what's the last 2 Super Bowl winners? Teams that added a veteran quarterback and ended up taking the Super Bowl. Obviously, one added the GOAT, but the other one, Matt Stafford, was not considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They thought he was a really good quarterback, but yet immediately he goes to another team, performs way better, and the team ends up winning a Super Bowl. So I would love to get a guy like Carson Wentz, but that's just me.
I know. I'll just say
this.
this. No, there was a guy, and what's his name on Sports Talk, or the former Sports Talk, that's a Philly fan, that said he didn't know how to avoid a sack. But I wanted to laugh at football fan, married 3 times, can't afford a jersey.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's for sure.
But anyway, who was it? Sports Talk. Who was it on Sports Talk that was a Philly fan?
On the local radio station?
Yeah, 980. There was not Al. It wasn't Al Galdi. It was
It wasn't
somebody on that.
One of them
channel
was a Philly fan.
Yeah.
I know.
And
Graham
I can't think of it.
Weinstein. There was Al Galdi. There's obviously Kevin Sheehan. There's Tom Rivera. There's Steve Saban. Scott Walker. No, that's Doc Walker. Scott something. Who was the show with the Scott Walker? Or Doc Walker. I keep combining their names. Scott something. Scott Lynn or something? I don't know. I keep combining their names.
Oh,
anyway.
Was it Lynn? That might be
Scott Lynn? I have no idea.
I'm not going to be able to find this, but
yeah.
But he said.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just saying. He said that because there was one game where Carson Wentz was there, and I think the Redskins were just closing down on him, and he just tucked the ball, and he's like, he doesn't know when to throw it away. And
yeah, well, there's times that he escapes that you're like, what in the world? How did he do that? And another part about why I think it could be best case scenario is Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded head coach. In my belief is Ron Rivera would prefer to get a veteran quarterback to start on his team because he, first off, doesn't have time for a rookie. He's going into his 3rd year, and they haven't done great, 7-10 and 7-9. And then on top of that, he's not an offensive mind. So him trying to coach up, have a guy that he can coach up and train into him, he's not an offensive guru. He's not a quarterback genius. So if he could get a guy that is a veteran in this league that has had a season of MVP caliber, a la Carson Wentz in 2017, where he was off the charts until he got hurt, I think that would be best case scenario for this team. My opinion. No on Wentz has nothing to do with his ability. It's personality. He doesn't connect with his teammates. I'm just saying, I have heard that. I have heard that apparently he's not a great leader, but with age comes wisdom. The older you get,
I'm still waiting on that.
You're the exception. No, maybe as he gets older and older, of 29, 30, 31, 32, he gets more mature. He starts to learn on how to handle people more and more, and he can become a leader. And then also under a guy like Ron Rivera, if Ron Rivera is good at anything, it's being a leader of men and being able to teach men how to be men, right? Or teach young men how to be men. So he would be a phenomenal dude if you have a character concern like that to get under Ron Rivera's wing and start to learn how to be more of a people person or a leader in the locker room and things like that. So I don't see that necessarily as being a huge problem because I just think that, I don't know. I like it. I like it. Everyone needs to be realistic because Rodgers, Wilson, and Watson are out. That's a great segue into apparently Washington now leads the betting odds to acquire Deshaun Watson at plus 300. Tampa Bay is the next best at plus 350. Ron Rivera has said in the past when asked about Watson that he would hope that he has a locker room that could take a guy like that under his wing or under their wing and be able to improve a guy like that. Same thing with Carson Wentz. But anyway,
No, but Deshaun Watson is a different thing than Carson Wentz because he's got a lot of baggage that goes contrary to what the Redskins or the Commanders.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's going to take me like 5 years to get used to saying that. But he's got issues that fall right in line with what Washington is dealing with right now. And I think they would take a tremendous, and maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. Now that I think about it, maybe it would be like, hey, Washington's trying to redeem themselves and they're bringing somebody into a new environment that we're trying to redeem everybody. Maybe they could make it work. But I just think with the baggage that Watson has right now, I don't know if it's the best choice. I mean, what's he going to cost? Do you have any idea if they
3
picked him
first
up?
round picks minimum.
No, done.
All right, but this is the main thing, and that's fine. I know you don't want to trade the house, and that's perfectly fine. And it's not so much do we want him is my question here. Okay, my question is right now we're the betting odds according to Vegas to get this guy. Do you think there's
Vegas
actually anything brewing under there that we haven't heard about that's actually like, or do you think this is just from left field? Vegas is just reading the room, or
all I'm saying is Vegas.
There?
All I'm saying is Vegas knows a lot of stuff. So if Vegas is giving them the odds, and they're taking money, although who knows, it could be Vegas doesn't like to lose money either. But,
yeah.
But no, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, if they got him and he came out, I'd root for him and hope he did great. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give up 3 first-round picks, or you said 3 first-round, right?
3 first-round picks.
No, come on, man, we can't do that.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'm just curious to what in the world made the betting odds go that direction, because the last I heard, Watson had a list of teams that he would want to go to, and Washington was not on that list. Like, I think one of them was New York, one of them was Miami. Like, there was a couple of other teams that he showed. I think one was maybe Carolina. But my understanding is Washington was not on the list that Deshaun Watson would be willing to go to. Now, what in the world is Vegas hearing that changes that? I don't know, but it definitely is interesting.
So, just to be clear, is Watson a restricted free agent? Or
no, Watson's not a free agent at all. He's under big contract.
Still under contract. Okay.
Yeah. He's still under a big contract right now. So it's definitely a weird situation because he didn't play last year, for obvious reasons. And I think that last year's contract is still relevant this year, like, because he didn't play. So I think he would still have to play on last year's deal this year and moving forward, I believe.
And look, it has nothing to do with his ability or the lack thereof or whatever. It's just there's a lot of baggage there, and I think the price is too steep. And then, I know you're saying Ron Rivera is going, well, maybe we could find somebody in the locker room to take him under his wing. It's like, if you're paying that much money for him, I don't want you to have to get under somebody's wing. I want you to be a professional and play. And who knows? Is his past transgressions, or I know they're not proven, but the accusations against him, does that come up again? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the last thing I'm going to say on this is Deshaun Watson is, in my understanding, is not a locker room problem. Like, he's not a guy that, until this happened, he was considered a high character individual, right? And
no, I get that.
Yeah, and so I don't think it would have to be so much you're taking a guy under his wing. I think he's been running through the mud. I don't think he's doing this stuff again, personally, right? I don't think this is going to be a problem continuously down the road, unless he has some sort of sex addiction that he just can't get over and he needs to go to meetings. But as far as a level-headed human being that it's not going to come in here and all of a sudden be a huge problem, I don't view that as a Deshaun Watson problem at all, personally. Because I remember he gave his first paycheck to the lunch ladies at the stadium, right? Like, I mean, he's got cool. A good head on his shoulders in a lot of ways, but he obviously made a huge mistake in this one, and who knows why. I have opinions, but I've already said them, so we're not going to go down there.
Right. Anyway, sorry, Mr. Before we move on, Mr. Martin, I don't understand. Maybe I'm misreading Your comment.
Who would you take, Chase or Terry? I think he's meaning like if you could only pay one guy, like if you only had enough money to pay one, who would you pay?
We're talking about Chase Young?
Yeah, Chase Young or Terry McLaurin.
Well, and that's why it said, but he says, and Chase has other wide receivers around him compared to Terry, who still has back-to-back.
Jamar Chase. Jamar
Okay,
Chase.
thank you.
The
that's
receiver
first...
for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm sorry.
Thank you, because I thought Chase Young, and I'm going, Chase has receivers
I thought the same thing, but I didn't read the entire comment. But he's talking about Jamar Chase, the obviously the number 5 overall pick to the Bengals. Jamar Chase is a stud, but so is Terry. Give me Terry! Give me Terry McLaurin over
Tim
Mr.
has
Jamar
spoken.
Chase. But I like Jamar Chase too. Like Jamar Chase is an absolute stud, so you can't go wrong with either answer, in my opinion.
And sorry, Mr. Martin, it took us a few minutes to catch up to what you were saying, but we got there.
We got there eventually. So before I go on, we got 32 of you in the chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. First off, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Also, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. But I also wanted to take this time, since there's a bunch of you in here, to mention that I'm doing a March Madness NCAA Tournament Bracket Challenge in the description below. You can join my bracket. The password's also in the description. Tims, Tims, TC, and the number 2. So Tims TC2 for Tims Tournament Challenge 2. You can win a prize, and I'm having my sister design my very first merch, so a design for a t-shirt, and I'm going to be giving away the very first t-shirt made as merch as a prize, as well as $100 to
is this winner. Your youngest sister?
Yeah, Rita's making me a design for the t-shirt.
The printing specialist.
Yep.
You should start plugging her too.
Yeah. So if you want a chance to win that first ever merch design from a t-shirt here, and I haven't made it yet because I don't know what size the winner's going to be, so I won't make it until after I find out who the winner is, so I can get the proper size, so I can be the very first piece of merch ever made. So I thought that was cool. And also you have a chance to win 100. It's free to enter. There's no no price for entry. Free to enter. And I don't know about rules of adding as many brackets as you want yet. That's to become, I don't know. But enter, make sure it's in the description, and just download the simple ESPN app, and it's fun. So there you go.
Richmond Spiders.
Richmond Spiders? Wait, no, Richmond Spiders is a legit college. Like the
No, I know, but he
Spiders.
said but Bodhisattva said, are they Richmond Spiders all the way?
I don't know.
Are they even in the tourney? I found that comment funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on because we've filled up the hour, even though I didn't think we could.
Yep. We got a couple more topics here. We're going to run through them. Russell Wilson was interviewed and was talked about moving east to play on the East Coast instead of the West Coast. He says right now he is happy in Seattle, but he does have a lot of friends and family in the area apparently texting him, wanting him to come to the East Coast, being he went to high school in Richmond, Virginia. And of course he has to say he's happy in Seattle. He's under contract there. He can't be like on national
He's not allowed
TV.
to talk. He's not allowed to talk to anybody yet.
Right. So he can't just go ahead and say all that kind of nonsense of like, yeah, I went out of there. I'm going to Washington tomorrow. But he is getting a lot of texts and stuff. Do you think there's any chance that is there still hope? Is there still light at the end of the tunnel that we can have a guy
I
like
don't
Russell
know.
Wilson?
I don't
and
know.
I don't care about what you want anymore. I know that we don't want to spend a whole bunch of capital.
No. I'm not talking about what I want. And I don't know what the chance is, but I saw a report that he updated his Twitter bio with hashtag take command.
Oh.
What that means, I don't know. That I just take it for what it's worth, but
really,
I
didn't hear about that part.
Yeah,
I remember that on Instagram he got rid of like all Seattle stuff, but
on his profile, on his bio, it says, "I want to love like Jesus." Hashtag take command. So it could be totally unrelated to Washington. It's not like Washington has patented take command like no one else. any believers in God or Jesus or anybody else has never used that term, so could be totally unrelated.
Wait a
But I
minute.
just thought it was
I just see in his description, I want to love like Jesus. I don't see hashtag takes banned.
maybe I was punked,
Maybe you
but
were punked. Maybe.
so or maybe he put it up and took it down because he thought
Very
I don't know.
possible. Very,
But anyway,
very
that's the
possible.
all. Look, if we get him, it's like I don't care what Washington does. I just want to win. So if they bring in Russell Wilson and sell the farm to get him, I hope we win. But that's all I have to say. I like Russell Wilson. Never had a problem with him. Not a talker. Not somebody who runs his mouth.
Oh,
He just
is he trying to
plays.
get my attention? What's up, Mr. Martin? I thought he
I
was just
think.
saying a bunch of Tim stuff. I don't know. I saw that comment, but I didn't see it. But QB draft, it smelled bridge quarterback coming. It's very possible. It's very possible. But all right, Russ put a picture of him and his dad in Virginia. Could mean something, maybe not. Yeah.
He said it's just his new tongue twister.
Good deal. Good
Oh
deal.
God, we got some funny people in the chat. I love it.
Yeah, they're good peeps. They're good peeps. Except for that pig. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. Love my pig. Love the Dr. Pig. All right, on to the next old quarterback. And apparently Washington is out on Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers.
Good.
They are done with it. And, of course, this is all speculation. We could hear tomorrow that they're sending the biggest contract ever for Aaron Rodgers. But for now, there's a few teams reported already sent offers for Rodgers to the Green Bay Packers. And apparently, reportedly, Washington is not one of them. And then Aaron Rodgers also apparently wants to be paid $50 million a year at 38 years old. Do you think there's any chance he gets that contract?
No, I think this is all the same bluster that he does every year, and I'll bet you $1 that he plays for Green Bay next year.
I'm not taking that bet. You can keep your dollar.
I'm just saying. Let's bet a pen. I'm just saying. I will bet you
$1. I don't care. That's fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Is why I'm saying I don't want to take that bet because I think.
By the way, you and your, me and your Uncle Rob, we bet dollars all the time. We never, we just have a tally of like, hey, you're $2
I know you owe
ahead.
me $2 already. Or never mind, not $2. You owe me $8 because of the perfect score of the game. I got the score dead on, so you owe me $1.
You're right.
Already.
See,
I'm keeping track. Eventually, you're gonna pay me. No, I'm just kidding.
What's the interest on it?
What's the interest on it? 1,000,000%. So,
but no, I hope.
Million.
I do not want any part of. And look, Aaron Rodgers, great talent. Mm-hmm. He's been doing this for the last 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
I can't. Where it's like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to stay here. They don't got good players. Blah 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 blah. And then he goes back to it, and he will be in Green Bay next year, and all of this is just him being in the headlines.
For sure. Yeah, I'm also glad that we're out on Rodgers. I think Rodgers is a phenomenal quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's back-to-back MVP. He's an awesome quarterback, but it's going to take way too much capital. He's only going to play a couple more years. Not worth it. Let's continue to try to build this young team and move forward. That's where I sit. All right, we're going to end this. I told you to look up your top three free agents going into this offseason. And you said you did a little research and stuff and looked into some things. Dad, just full disclosure, Dad is not some film wonk where he watches all these guys and has some high opinion on who fits best in the 4-3 defense or who's the best in the West Coast offense or whatever. But he's done his research and he's interested in a few of these guys.
Let me also further qualify.
My three as well. Yeah.
All right, let me just further qualify. I'm not a big fan of free agency.
Okay.
But I played your game, and I did the best that I could do.
Okay.
So
we'll take turns. You want to go first or my first?
Well, I think the first one's obvious.
Okay.
Well, let me say that I understand that the Redskins, assuming they don't sign Shreve, are going to have like $32 million in cap space.
Yep.
So my first thought was, you know what? Go for the gold and go after Tyrann Tyrann
Matthew. Yep.
Tyrann Matthew.
Tyron or whatever.
Let's say Tyron, whatever. You know who
Honey
I'm
Badger.
talking about. Casey.
The Honey Badger. Yep.
So you're talking about probably having to pay him upwards of $15 million a year for 3 years. So you're talking about 45 in the neighborhood of $45 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
He's a free safety, which is a sorely not even. It's a need. Let me just stop trying to find adjectives. So I thought, you know what? If we're going to swing for the fences, let's go after Tyrann, that guy from Kansas City.
Honey Badger. The Honey Badger. Yeah, no, that's a great one. And it's definitely a huge position of need. I don't hate that pickup at all. And honestly, I didn't go any like high dollar free agency in my top 3. I like to go cheaper on free agents personally and kind of build a lot of players, a lot of depth and things like that. So instead of trying to go for the high dollar guys to change your team by one player, I like to build. So
I'm thinking like Dan Snyder.
You're thinking like Dan Snyder. But no,
go ahead.
Sorry, all that to say, if we were going to swing for the fences, I love that swing because it is a big position of need and it would be an interesting guy to grab. So good one first off. Mine aren't in any particular order, but the first one I wrote down is I would like to go ahead and add Robert Tonyan, the tight end from Green Bay. He's coming off an ACL injury, so I don't know if he's going to be an expensive free agent, but this guy has a ton of talent and a ton of physical abilities. He compares a lot to a George Kittle as far as a physical talent. Now, he's not the blocker that George Kittle is, and he's not the pass catcher that George Kittle is. George Kittle is definitely on another level, but there's a lot of great talent, and pairing him up with a Logan Thomas would be a tremendous 1-2 punch, in my opinion, at the tight end spot, and I don't know if he would be overly expensive coming off the ACL tear. So that's my number 1. I'll go ahead. You want me to go my number 2, or do you want to go number 2? You can
go ahead.
Back and forth. All right.
Nope. You go.
My number 2 is that we're going to stay on the Green Bay Packers, and I want Allen Lazard, wide receiver from them. Again, I don't think he's going to be overly expensive, but again, another guy who's a 6'5" body. I think he's more talented than a Cam Sims. I would like to add an Allen Lazard to pair up with Terry McLaurin, who's only 6 foot, maybe 6'1" on a good day, much more of a speedster, where Allen Lazard could be your bigger red zone threat and a very different but good complementary wide receiver to Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown, and the rest of the crew.
And what's his cost?
That's what I would imagine it's probably like a 1 or a 2 year deal somewhere. If it's a 2-year deal, maybe in the $15 million range.
Wow, you are going low ball. Now I feel like I'm the rich person's wife that's going in and spending all the money.
Yeah,
but,
no, and I'm okay with this because I like it because you're giving more of guys that are more bigger names that people should be maybe interested or look into more, and then I'm giving more of like the bottom of the barrel, but still has potential to be a really good player for us. So I like the dynamic here. So what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Jadeveon Clowney.
Ooh, Jadeveon
They're saying
Clowney.
I'm reading we can get him 2 years, $25 million. Our defensive line was decimated last year, and could you imagine? He can play any position. I understand he can play any position on the defensive line. Okay. You put in Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen and Jadeveon, and then you throw Chase Young in there. Mm-hmm. We could have a really, really badass.
Yeah. So, and Jadeveon Clowney, former number 1 overall pick, he hasn't lived up to that number 1 overall pick, obviously, but there's still a lot of natural ability in there. TTC go to set another edge ? Absolutely. Our edge room is literally Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and a bunch of maybes after that. If we can get a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, who I believe is, 30 years old or something like that, 31?
20. I think he's 29.
29?
Hold on. Let me make sure.
He's
29.
Older,
he's 29 in 17 days.
Oh, okay. So
He's
he
been
just
in the
turned
league
29.
for 8 years. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So he's a little bit older though, but if you put this guy in a rotational position where he doesn't need to play 100% of snaps, or no defensive end plays 100% of snaps, but you get like a top tier load where then you can protect his body, because another problem is a injury concerns
Yeah,
with Jadeveon
durability.
Clowney.
Some durability is a question. I did read that.
I know Roger Smith was going to say this. I was waiting for it. We already have a Jadeveon Clowney. He says that Chase Young's going to be a bust like Jadeveon Clowney, but that is an
I get
interesting
that.
one. I don't hate that idea, because I would like to add another edge for a rotational that when Chase Young and Montez Sweat go out, we don't have Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams, right? It's another guy that can actually get after the quarterback and be an interesting dude. Chandler Jones is a free agent, yeah, but Chandler Jones is going to be like super expensive. Like Chandler Jones is serious money. Like dad said that maybe we could get him for 2 years, $25 million, $12.5 million a year for another edge rusher. Not a whole lot of money. I'm not bad. So pay a rotational player $12 million a year. Nah, we already so deep on the D line. Use money elsewhere. Well, Marvin, rotational players in the defensive end spot is not a bad thing. The best defensive ends only play like 70% of the snaps, right? So if your bookends only play 70% of the snaps, that leaves 30%, well, actually 60% out of 200, if you want to say, because if you imagine both D ends, 100% on this side, 100% on that side, so you have 200%. You have 140% taken up by your two bookends. That's 60% still left to be taken by somebody else. And then if you could even lower those guys down to maybe 65% or something like that, and then you could still bring in another guy that's seriously playing a lot of minutes. Like, not a rotational guy in the sense of he plays 10 snaps a game, but he could still play 25, 30 snaps a game, and those snaps could be really, really important, because getting after the quarterback, your quarterback's the most important. Getting after the quarterback is the next most important, and then protecting your quarterback is third. So getting after the quarterback, if you can add more of those guys, like think about like the Niners when they got to the Super Bowl, they had a ton of guys on the defensive line. It's not a bad idea.
And look, I'll say this.
Is it likely, but it's not terrible. Go ahead.
I'll say this. Many people have said it. Defenses win Super Bowls. Defenses are great deodorant for a less than stellar offense. And I do believe, and look, I'm not arguing that Taylor Heineke is a great quarterback, but I think if we had a great defense that shut offenses down, that the offense we have right now could win games. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Because right now, it's like we're behind, and the defense seems to be able to stop them as soon as we get a little bit of a lead, or we just get blown out. But I think that if we get a badass defense, then I think we could ride with what we've got. And if you could add somebody else cheap or draft somebody in the offense, great. But you get a free safety and another edge rusher, I think we could be pretty scary.
Yep. All right, who's your last guy?
This was the lame one because I was thinking quarterback, and if we didn't want to draft somebody, we can get him for about, I understand, $7-8 million a year is Jameis Winston.
Ooh, Jameis. Famous Jameis, eh?
He in 2021, he had a 59% completion percentage, not great. 1,170 yards, 14 TDs, but only 3 interceptions, and his quarterback rating was over 100. So we get somebody.
Jameis is definitely a guy that's a favorite amongst a lot of fans to go ahead and make him the bridge with maybe some potential there, because he's still, only 27, 28 years old?
I'm not sure that. Hold on, let me see if I could find his. Let me see if I could find his age. Yeah, here we. Age 28. 55 days. Yeah.
So okay, yeah, I don't mind that one at all. And you said $17 million. That's probably steep for my liking.
No. I heard that we could get him for like 7 or 8.
Oh, 7 or 8. No, okay, that's much more. I like that a lot more.
That's what I thought about, because I was looking at quarterbacks and there were so many that were like, $20 million, 25 million. It's like they said,
Mm-hmm.
probably a 2-year deal for 15, 16 million. So I thought that seemed very reasonable. And hey, I just want to say I did pretty good for not believing in free agency.
No, I like that. I liked it. Here's my last one. And I also went the quarterback route for my last one on the discount range of quarterbacks. And if we were to draft a guy, I honestly think that this dude is a must to add to your locker room. And that
Can
is...
we have a drum roll?
That is Tyrod Taylor is a must to add to this team, okay? Not because Tyrod Taylor is going to be a great player for you, okay? He's going to be okay. He's going to be meh. He's not going to be great, even if he ends up playing for you. But Baltimore Ravens were the first team to get this guy. After he left, they ended up with Lamar Jackson. The Buffalo Bills, they ended up getting this guy. The next quarterback after him, Josh Allen. Then it was the Cleveland Browns. They got Tyrod Taylor. The next quarterback over him was Baker Mayfield. Number 4th team was the Los Angeles Chargers. After they got him, the next quarterback, Justin Herbert. Houston Texans added Tyrod Taylor, and even Davis Mills is looking like a guy that could be a franchise quarterback. I like Davis Mills, but
so
still.
you're saying he's a good quarterback magnet.
He is. You ever seen the movie Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook? Okay, it's a silly movie, but the concept is here. Basically, every time Dane Cook's character Chuck sleeps with a woman, that woman ends up finding the love of their life the very next man that they sleep with.
Oh, so I see where you're going. It's similar.
Yeah.
It's like a, like I said, a good quarterback magnet.
Yeah.
I'm not a good quarterback, but if you hire me, the good quarterback's going to be drawn to me.
He's coming. He's coming next. So I want to add a Tyrod Taylor to this team because the next quarterback that starts for us will end up being our franchise quarterback and maybe be great for years to come. But hey, there you go. There's my good. Yeah, we get good luck, Tyrod. Yeah, he doesn't have good luck, but he brings good luck. Like, you know how bad his luck is, Dad?
I have no idea.
So when he was playing for the Chargers a couple of years ago, he was supposed to be the starter over Justin Herbert, right? After the first game, he ended up having some sort of rib injury, right? When he was getting an injection to stunt the pain leading into the next game, they ended up sticking the needle in too far into his chest and hit his lungs. And he had to sit out of the game, right? And then Justin Herbert came out the gates firing like a madman. Like,
yeah, I wasn't laughing because, it's like, hey, dude, you're sticking the needle in my chest. I want to know how far you're going in.
Or maybe it was his back. I don't remember. But the point is he hit his lungs. And so he had to sit out of the game.
If you're anywhere near here, yeah. I want a stopper on the needle. I have to go in a half inch. Here's a stopper. It's not going any farther. But I don't mean to downplay anybody's serious injuries, but
but no, that's the kind of luck that Tyrod Taylor ends up with. And I think it would be a phenomenal test. Really, and in the movie Good Luck Chuck, right, to test the theory, because he starts adding it up. Like, he didn't realize that this was a thing, right? He starts adding it up. Like, every time I'm with a woman, the next guy they end up getting married, right? So he ends up getting his best friend, right? And they end up sleeping with this just troll of a lady, right? And he's like, don't worry about it. I'm going to break your curse because we know I ain't going to marry her. But you know what? It's fine. I'll go ahead and be the next one, and I won't marry her, and the curse is broken. Sure enough, he ends up marrying the girl.
All right, we've apparently digressed enough that we're talking about a movie about.
But my point is that we are that ugly troll. So we would really be putting Tyrod Taylor's luck to the test. If it works here, he should have a job until he's dead. He should be the quarterback.
What's it going to cost us?
I don't know, $5 to $10 million, somewhere in that range. Not much.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens in free agency and see if either one of us are right.
We shall see. Well, it was fun. Thanks for everybody who hung out with us. A lot of fun.
Hey, great crowd as always. Love the comments. A lot of great humor.
Yep. And last reminder, today I'm going to be reminding you guys quite often, in the description below, there is the March Madness Tournament Challenge. Join. It's free. You can win $100 and the first merchandise for the channel. It would be a t-shirt with a design on it. My sister's making the design. I'll wait until she gets it finished to reveal it. But
to see if it's any good.
Yeah, well, we may have to redesign a few more times. We'll see. But you will be getting the very first piece of merch for the channel if you are the winner of this tournament. So, again, free to enter. Links in the description. Also, the password to the league is in the description. And join it up. Anyway, any last words there, J-Dubs?
No, I think we're good. I think great show. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Loved it. I always get a good laugh out of this. So keep up the good work.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. It was a lot of fun. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And thanks for watching all the way to the end. And until next time. See ya!